I'll follow your
Why not?
tangents.
Sure.
Okay.
I feel sometimes I talk too much.
No. I feel like you could talk more, actually.
Yay! Alright.
Alright, so I'll start us off.
Go.
Hi everyone, welcome to Coats and Jackets, and this is Kimberly.
And this is Mandy.
And we're here for Wizarding World Book Club.
Yay!
Today we are finally starting the Chamber of Secrets. Oh my gosh, can you believe it?
I have, because I read it like a month and a half ago.
Right, we're that far behind on the timeline, but shh, it's okay.
It's fine.
It's fine. There's no Twitter recap this week because it's a new book, new topic.
Yes.
So we're just going to start getting right into it. So our theme for this time around was home.
Mm-hmm. So, what we're going to talk about first is Harry's home life, what it was like, and how it changes over the course of the summer.
Yes.
For really right at the beginning of the book. So he goes home to the Dursleys at the end of summer.
He does.
The good news is that they don't know he can't do any magic while he's home.
Yeah, so there's a rule in Hogwarts that while you're not attending school and learning how to do magic, they don't let you run willy-nilly and practice magic. There are laws and things in place, and, well, it's for your own safety and protection.
Yes.
And if you do perform magic, because you're a student and you're underage, there's some kind of warning system.
Magical warning system.
And the Ministry of Magic, which governs the proper use of magic, steps in and gives you a warning and says, hey, no magic from you over these vacations, and if you get enough strikes, you can get expelled.
As a little tangent, I would just like to point out that if they can do that for young underage wizards, why can't they do it for black magic? Possibly figuring out how other wizards are doing black magic.
I think with black magic,
we can always table that.
I think there's a bit of an issue with black magic because at a certain point you're allowed to practice magic. Well, and again, so you know what I mean. It can be hard to tell what somebody's using the magic for.
I guess
a lot of it has to do with intent.
I guess you just know that it's magic, not what kind of magic. Anyway, back to Harry and his home life. We'll
get into the ins and outs of what we think about the magic system in another episode. Because there's a lot of like questionable things that happen. For example, the fact that he ends up at the Dursleys.
Yes.
But we're told this is important because we've learned now we need it to keep his mother's sort of blood magic protection going.
Yes. So Harry goes back to the Dursleys. And they don't know that he can't practice magic. They don't know that nobody's really watching Harry while he's back with the Dursleys. So they are a little terrified that the magical world is going to find out that they treat Harry horribly. So they decide that they'll move him up out of the cupboard and give him his own room.
Now, mind you, it's a room full of broken things that belong to Dudley that they haven't got rid of.
Dudley's spare toy room.
Which he apparently needs.
Of course.
And is very, very, very put off by the fact that Harry is forced to live in around all his old broken stuff because he needs that space for his old broken stuff.
Yeah.
That he doesn't touch ever again.
Because that can't go to the rubbish.
No, that can't be thrown out. He has to keep it.
Mm-hmm.
So they started using the spare room for it to overindulge him. And now that Harry has to share that space with the other broken things, I feel like that's sort of a metaphor in a way.
It is, but at least he's out of the cupboard.
Under the stairs.
The cupboard of the stairs. Under the stairs with
where
all those
he stays with all the spiders.
I mean, so he's moving up in the world. He gets his own bedroom with a window.
So that his owl can come and go.
Yes. So, I mean, that's a step up. Unfortunately, it doesn't stay that way. So he comes home and he has a bit of freedom, and the Dursleys are treating him a little nicer.
But they're going to have a big family dinner.
Yes.
where he's trying to impress a potential client for his business. Vernon is. And so they want Harry to be super quiet, and they do everything they can to hide the fact that he's even there.
That he even exists. So as the summer progresses, by having Harry move up into this room, they've essentially turned this room into a prison. There's bars on the windows.
Well, and this happens because of the dinner, because things don't go the way they want them to. There's been magic, and because magic has happened, it falls squarely on Harry that he gets a letter from the ministry. Of course, the ministry doesn't know anything about his living situation, and Vernon gets the letter before Harry does.
And this is when his Uncle Vernon finds out that Harry is not allowed to practice magic. And so if Harry is not allowed to practice magic while he is in the Muggle world, he is never going back to Hogwarts as far as Uncle Vernon is concerned.
They're going to put an end to all this magic nonsense. They're going to lock him up, put the bars on the windows.
They lock Hedwig's cage and keep the key and basically lock Harry into his room. Take all of his Hogwarts things and put them in the cupboard under the stairs, locked away from Harry. And Harry is basically fed food through a slot in the door.
They make a mail slot big enough for food to go through. So it's literally like you see in prison when people are put in isolation.
So, I mean, it escalated fairly quickly into a not bad situation. Like, not great, because the Dursleys kind of were terrified and hated him, to a, we still hate you. And now you're just going to be living in this prison cell until forever, because you're never ever going back to Hogwarts. He doesn't get any letters. He thinks he's all alone. He thinks that Ron and Hermione have gone back to their happy lives and no longer care about him. It's not until a little bit later that he finds out that somebody has been actually stopping those letters from coming to him, and that there's actually been several letters and packages sent to Harry that he's just never received.
Yes, and his friends don't know what's going on because they just figure, oh, he's busy or he's caught up in the Muggle world or whatever. They don't know that Vernon and Petunia are keeping all the letters.
Yeah. So it wasn't Vernon and Petunia. It was...
Right.
Yes.
We had a special visitor.
Yes, there was a special house elf who came and was basically trying to cut Harry off from the world.
Yes, but right now Harry thinks that if his friends haven't abandoned him, which they might have, it's Vernon or Petunia keeping all of the letters.
So he's very depressed, I think, at this point.
Yes.
His friends don't care about him. His family, or, you know, what's left of his family, all hate him and basically want to treat him like a prisoner. And then...
There's a rapping on the window.
And then, thank goodness, there are some mischievous twins and Ron.
In a flying car.
In a flying car, tapping on Harry's window. And then there's, you know, the big escape. And then we get to see what Ron's life is like in the Burrow versus what Harry's life was like at the Dursleys.
The first thing I notice right away is the amount of concern. Because when Harry gets home from Hogwarts, Vernon's like, whatever, and oh, who cares? But when Ron and Fred and George have been out all night and come back, wee AM hours of the morning, they come home to a very angry Molly Weasley, who is like, excuse me, where have my children been all night?
And
I was worried sick about you.
I can picture this so clearly, because if anybody has ever stayed out too late or left their home after their parents think they're gone to bed and then come home and you find your mother sitting on the stairs in her nightdress, I can picture this so clearly.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Like, I love you, Mom.
And
but this is happening.
She reams into them too pretty good.
Yeah.
Which is funny because she says, you just wait till, and you've taken the car. Imagine my surprise when you've taken the car.
Mm-hmm.
And you just wait till when your father gets home because he's been working late at the ministry.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of get the feeling, just from that one sentence, that she's the one you're afraid of. Not so much the wait till your father gets home.
Totally. I mean, I was always, for me, I mean, I could just picture that so clearly. Like, my mom would be the one. She is about a foot shorter than I am, and to this day, when she says jump, I often, most of the time, will say, how high, or how far, or how long do you want me to keep doing this? She gets this look on her face, and I know that I'm in trouble.
Oh, there was one time...
And the guilt is coming.
When I was little, my friend and I... And to this day, she still talks about it. Like, it's stuck with my... Like, it doesn't bother me anymore. And I'd kind of forgotten about it, but it's stuck so strong with my friend. She still mentions it from time to time. Mm-hmm. Because what had happened was we were waiting at one entrance of the mall. And my mom thought we were going to be at a different entrance.
Oh.
And
no
this
cell
is
phones.
This was pre-cell phone time.
It was back when there was
payphones.
payphones.
So she had no idea where we were.
Uh-oh.
And she's going around the mall looking for us for a half hour.
Uh-oh.
Before she finally finds us at a different entrance.
It's like you can visibly see the thunderclouds growing.
She's so upset that she couldn't find us. And I mean, she apologized for her initial reaction later, but like it was that mom concern, like I had no idea where you were. And she was so like clearly upset in that moment. Like it's my friend is still like, remember that time your mom got mad at me?
I don't think anybody can do that quite as good as a mom can. Like,
that's true.
That I was so worried, and I also might kill you.
Yes. In the same breath, it's like...
the same breath. I don't think anybody does it as well as moms do, and not that I've ever been concerned that my mother would actually kill me, but there's just this, like, this wave of worry that the mothers put out, and then combined with this, like, just this, you're going to pay for this.
Yeah, it's like, now that I'm relieved and I know you're okay, never do this to me again.
Never do this ever again. Let's talk about how I'm going to make your life miserable. Because you did this thing that you shouldn't have done. And
in Ron's case, she makes them denome the yard.
Yes. Which doesn't seem that bad. I mean, yeah, I don't know.
She also makes them go do it without any real rest.
That's true. And gnomes are biters, apparently. So.
And at the same time that she's scathing, Harry feels terrible because he's like, oh no, I've done this thing. Even though he hasn't, he feels bad by proxy because his friend has gotten in trouble for him.
Yes.
But she's all like, oh dear sweetheart, you must be tired after your journey. Let me get you some breakfast.
Let me make you this.
She starts being all motherly to Harry.
Let me make you this mountain of food. And it's, I just relate so well to Molly's character. I don't currently have any children, but I don't know, I relate to that so well.
You do, yeah. You really, you feel so connected to her at that moment.
Like, this is based on an actual mom, yeah. That could be my mom, yeah, for sure. And I just think that Ron's Life in the Burrow, where they have the clock that shows, where everybody is, and just this, like, crazy building with all these stairs and all these rooms. And
there's so much stuff packed into them, and Harry's first impression is that this is what a home should feel like, because there's so much just stuff belonging to everybody everywhere. It feels so lived in. Yeah,
and I think that it's such a... Harry, gets up to Ron's room, and Ron, is apologizing about the mess, and Harry just thinks it's the best thing he's ever seen in his entire life.
And he's like, look at all these posters on the walls and all these things. Like, you get to have your own space.
Yeah, and of course magical posters, so they move, and, Ron's favorite
Quidditch cannons.
Yeah, the Quidditch team are there, and they, coming up and, winking at the poster, flying around, and to go from being a prisoner in your own home to coming into this, warm, and this home that has all this concern and, like, actual, like, worry for, and it's just got to be such a big change for Harry. So he is just so amazed for it. Like I think finally starts to get like what a home should be. This is, you know, Hogwarts is a type of home for him, but like a family, like this is what it should be. This total chaos of everything and just people's stuff everywhere and so much activity. And so of course Harry has met Molly before, but really only in passing. Like they met on the train. Did they meet?
And there was a little bit of motherly concern then, because she was like, she spots the owl and everything, and she's like, you must be going off, and she's like, don't worry about it, it's my son's first time as well, Ron. It's like, watch the older boys and then you guys can follow.
I mean, obviously Molly's had heard a lot about Harry.
But she didn't know that was Harry at that moment either.
Not at that moment, but of course she knit him the jumper for Christmas, and I'm sure that, you know, I don't think there's magical phone calls, but, you know, the letters and all that stuff, Ron's probably writing back and forth, and Percy and the twins.
There's definitely not magic phone calls. I love when Hermione meets Ron's dad, and he's like, tell me more about these felly tones.
These felly tones. Tell me more about these felly tones. I think this is really the first time Molly has really gotten a chance to, like, interact with Harry as Ron's friend. I don't think that she is concerned about Harry Potter, the famous Harry Potter.
No, she's concerned about this little boy.
This little boy who has been, you know, living in this horrible living situation, which she doesn't know everything about, but she knows that Ron hasn't heard from him all summer.
I mean, once she finds out the situation he was in, she's less hard on her children for getting Harry out of that situation. So the punishment is a bit less. But there's still a punishment, because they still shouldn't have gone out at night and taken the car.
Well, that's true. Yeah. I mean, they could have told their mother, and she probably
and the parents could have dealt with it.
Probably could have done some legal magic, because remember, it's illegal for underage wizards to be using magic outside of school.
But the car was already enchanted.
The car was technically already enchanted illegally.
And what they did was they used the power of the car to pry the bars off the window to give him an escape hole.
Illegally.
So really they didn't use magic, technically.
They used illegal magic.
Also, none of them were really old enough to drive.
George and Fred were.
Well, except there's not really that many cars in the Wizarding World.
That's true. They definitely didn't have a driver's license. I'm just trying to picture them parallel parking a flying car. So I think that home for Harry, he definitely doesn't think of the Dursleys at all as home. Home for Harry, I think, from the beginning of this book is the Weasleys.
Yeah, they're his home.
They're his home, and Hogwarts. The two of those places together are home for Harry.
Yeah, they're what he thinks the most fond of. And by stark contrast, we start to see a little bit of a difference with Malfoy. We
For sure.
hinted at this in the first set of videos from the first book, but we see a tiny bit more into his home life. And we see that his father deals in black market items that he shouldn't have possession of, and he's trying to get rid of them before the ministry catches up to him, and he takes his son on these trips. You see really how Draco's father treats him you know, when Harry stumbles upon them in the shop, and you really start to kind of get an inkling of what Malfoy's home life is like. He is definitely looked down upon. He is treated like a child. He's also treated a little bit like, not quite like a servant, but a step up from the way that the Malfoy family would treat a servant.
Yes.
But the way anyone else would treat a servant. He's kind of an errand boy, and he's expected to be quiet and be well behaved and be a presence, and more so seen than heard.
Exactly. So I think it's definitely an interesting. If we just start to see a little bit here, we don't really know the full extent yet of what Malfoy's life is like, but you just sort of start to get an inkling of what his home life is like.
And as the book, like this particular book goes on, and we get further into the chapters later, you'll see more and more of how he's treated at home. You'll learn it through his actions at school and some of the things that happen.
So it'll definitely be Malfoy's character changes quite a bit throughout the books, but well, you start to learn a lot more about him. But for sure, what we know so far is that he does not have a great home life. Harry does not have a great home life, and Hogwarts, I think, is sort of like a safe place for them, both of them.
Yes.
So, and that for sure, when Harry goes to the Burrow, he really finds out. He gets that full sense of like family from Molly and Mr. Weasley, whose name I cannot remember.
Arthur.
I'm like, Molly and
Arthur.
I
like just came to me when you were like, I can't remember his name, and I was like, Arthur.
And their interactions, and how Molly was so upset about the car, and then Ron was like, and Arthur was just like, how'd she run? How'd it go?
I've wanted to test it.
Yeah. But I'm also very mad. Right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I'm supposed to be upset, but lovely to see you, Harry.
Yeah, it's great to see you. So, yeah, I just think that home has changed for her.
Definitely. And this is a really great jump off point, because now we're going to get more into, with our upcoming themes, the different events of Diagon Alley, and also when he first goes back to Hogwarts. But until next time, we solemnly swear we're up to no good.
Yay.
We did it. That's it. We're done.
Yay.
That was a short theme. We did the thing.
It was. For me, that are Christmas classics, like Scrooged.
You know what? Oddly, I really like Scrooged. I shouldn't.
It's Bill Murray.
Because, there's a lot of Bill Murray films I don't like.
I mean, we've already decided we're naming our next cat Bill Purry.
Oh my god, that's an amazing name.